Okay, it's great to get on my interview on my show now. On my show, we don't just have musical guests. We've got people like with real life stories, and none of with me now. We got Bekah Slider. She's my next special guest on my show, introducing on. It's great to have you on my show and podcasts. Thanks for taking the time out to speak to me today. I just wanted to ask, how are you today, first of all?
Oh, I'm doing good. It's extremely cold where I am, so I hate that. But besides that, yeah, doing very
Okay, well,
well.
I'm glad you're keeping well. And where are you situated in the world right now?
I'm in Ohio in the United States.
Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant. I've worked on a rock station in Ohio in previously, so I know of Cleveland.
hmm Yeah.
So, so I know you like your music over there.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a big music city there. Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. And just got you on because I know you have a story to tell, a real life story. I just want to hand over the reins over to you. Would you just like to say a little bit about yourself and your background and so on?
Sure. Yeah. So currently, I'm a confidence coach and a motivational speaker. But I'm an ex-pastor. I used to be a pastor at a church for several years. I was in ministry for the majority of my adult life. I grew up conservative Christian. So yeah, I have kind of a wild story because I walked away from ministry and then now the coach and the speaker part isn't that weird, but I also have an OnlyFans, which is kind of what really gets people like, whoa, you're like a wild, crazy woman. But actually, it goes along with really what I'm trying to dismantle, which is the idea of women in leadership or women being respected and women being highly sexual or just in their sexuality don't go hand in hand. Like that norm, I'm over it. I want to dismantle it. And there are a lot of women rising up in that as a revolution to just say, no, like you absolutely can be a woman who is highly sexual and totally in touch with your sexuality and be respected and be a person of influence and be a person who is a leader. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at today.
Amazing. Well, good for you. I was just going to ask my first question. We're breaking away from like, say, growing up with, is it like the church?
hmm
Was that quite a big step to make?
It was huge. Actually, that
Mm.
was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life because really being a Christian, it was, you have some people who just go to church and it's like they just put the check in the box, they go to church, that's their thing, that just makes them feel good. But for me, it was every part of my identity. Being a Christian was real to me and it was literally every fabric of my being. I grew up in it. I did walk away for a few years in my teenage years, but then when I came back, it was full on. And so when you have values and beliefs inside of you that run your life and you are dismantling them and deconstructing them, it is the most unsafe feeling ever. Because the other thing you've got going on is for many people, they think of heaven and hell as like, like a almost fairy tale, like, okay, that's kind of whatever. But for me, heaven and hell were very real. They were embedded in me at a very young age. So that to me was like, I'm walking through this deconstruction process of do I really believe this? While also simultaneously feeling like if I'm wrong, I am going to burn in hell for eternity. That fear inside of me was absolutely terrifying. And yet, I knew I had to keep walking through this and asking myself hard questions and wrestling with it because I couldn't unsee what I had seen in the sense of like recognizing the unsupportive beliefs that these staples of Christianity were for me. They just were absolutely unsupportive, based in fear, masked in love.
It's fair to say it was a very bold move, a very courageous move, and a very did you find it was like a precarious stage in your life?
hmm Yes, absolutely.
And on to now, you are you're living life, to the max. Look on your your Facebook page, social media, and it seems like you manifest life and live it to the full.
Yeah, I love that you said that. Manifest life and live it to the full. Yeah, I don't think I knew what living was until I knew who I was. And I think that's really important to realize because a lot of people, they say by the age 35, you are living on autopilot. You are saying things and doing things and being who you are. And 95% of you is just, it's reaction mode based on the things you know. So you don't really know yourself often, right? Like you know who you've been programmed to be, how you've been conditioned to be, society, religion, the family, all of those things, they molded you and shaped you. And so to take a journey of figuring out who you are, it is challenging. It is not for the faint of heart. And also it is the most exhilarating, freeing thing you could ever do. And when you say live life to the fullest, manifest life, that comes from living, like knowing me to the fullest and making peace with me, who I really am, my desires, the things that line up for my soul, even if it means I have judgment against me, even if it means I have people who walk out of my life because they no longer agree with who I am or how I live. And that's a depth of freedom that most people never get to. And I would not lose it for the world. Like it is worth every penny to me.
Do you feel more people in society should embrace their more self-discovery these days?
Yeah, I think everyone should. I think that's, to me, that's like the best journey of life. We think life is like attaining these things, getting to these places of like whether it's economic status or we put marriage on a pedestal, like find the one, and you'll have, and the reality is you're the one. The marriage or the partnership or the money or the house or whatever it is, those are wonderful things, but the best thing you can give yourself is you, a freed up you, the version of you that like you are in love with.
Mm,
How would that feel, right? Instead of always this idea of, oh, I want to find someone to fall in love with. What if you fell in love with yourself? As corny as that sounds, the reality is that that is where life starts, and most people never slow down enough to start actually walking that path.
yeah. And do you feel in life people should let nature take its toll rather than just they people just like to plan life out, do this, do that. They like to have a schedule. But do you think more people should let nature take its toll and make its decisions for themselves? That makes it more exciting life, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think what you're referring to is more flow, right? And
Mm,
more like spontaneity versus having everything planned out. I think there's benefit to having some structure and having a desire of like, okay, this is kind of what I want to do. And right now, what I feel like are these are the steps like to move toward that. That feels good to me. But the reality is if we can take those things, whatever those things are, those goals, those decisions, and hold it with open hands and live more unattached to it, just deciding like the reality is that we want everything for the feeling it will give us.
mm. That
That's
does
what we
make
want it
sense.
for.
Yeah.
So if we want it for the feeling, can we hold it like this and be like, even if it doesn't come to me the way I plan it, the way I want it, I'm just going to trust that it's coming. So my life could look a little different or things could not go the way that I think they should. And also, I'm still going to hold the belief that I still get to have what I want in the way that I get to, you know what I mean? Like in the feeling that I want.
Yeah, yeah. So, but both sides, the structure in life, and then the kind of like letting the path run its own course.
Yes,
Right,
absolutely.
I'm with you. Also, do you feel times have changed since like since like last century, since like the 70s and the 80s and so on? Because this is the 2020s now. A society we are more kind of liberated, what we see in the media.
Mhm.
Do you feel that people should not everyone when I say people, but do you think some people should move along with the times?
I think to your point, the media, because when you contrast really the times, the media and the internet really has changed everything.
Mm,
And I think it's a double-edged sword. I think that there's a lot of beauty to be had because you can see so many other people like you, people who like where you felt like you didn't have a voice. Now you're seeing people come up and like, oh, there's a group, like there's more of us. You feel validated, you feel seen, justified. There are a lot of really beautiful things you can learn and glean and get more self-awareness quicker because of the internet, because you're seeing all these things. And also at the same time, the other side of that equation is there's still all the cultural norms of like, oh, you should be acting this way and you should look this way and you want to do this and you want to, and this is the American dream or this is the whatever it is. Like there's still the pressure and the bullshit that happens constantly. And you're still seeing that on social media. So I feel like it's a double-edged sword. This is why, again, I think that no matter what, whether it was the 70s or the 80s or whether it's now with the internet, it has to go back to you with you,
mm,
right? And I think that getting away from the noise we can't like I'm an entrepreneur. I do a lot of social media marketing, right? I can't just walk away from that. That's how I make money. And also, I can still take time out of my day each day to get away from the noise, be in nature, be with myself, meditate, do things that literally bring calm to my nervous system because we're typically go, go, go. Our bodies are in like,
Yeah.
all the time. Get yourself calm because that's when you're going to actually be able to really get to know yourself, really get to hear your thoughts versus the thoughts of everyone else that you've been conditioned to hear,
Mm.
right? So there's something said there that like it doesn't matter whether it was back then or now. I think it's really important that people get to know themselves and show up unapologetically in that way.
Well said. I know you're admirer of the great outdoors. And, when we were locked in the pandemic, locked in, people, well, here in the UK, we could have our exercise. And
Yeah.
myself, I discovered like local country parks, and I found it really exhilarating, the views, the fresh air, going for a
Yes.
walk. And do you embrace nature and surroundings in the great
Yeah.
outdoors?
Yeah, I mean, I'm literally like my view right now is woods. Like I absolutely need nature in my life in order to function. And I
Mm,
can tell when I haven't been out in it enough because it's like there's even if it's just your own home, there's still this energy of like it's almost like they call it cabin fever, that's just like I gotta get out, I gotta get out.
mm.
Like nature, there's something about it that's so beautiful and so still and really helps you come back home to yourself.
Mm, mm. Agreed. Also, have you written any books at all where people can like follow your music, not your musical path, your spiritual path?
I haven't written any books. I have a podcast called The Courage to Fully Live. And that podcast, I share my story quite a bit in the conversations I have with other people, but it's based on the number one regret of the dying, which they've done research and they've shown over and over again is the regret is I didn't have the courage to live a life true to myself. I was always living it for the expectations of other people, of who
Mm,
they wanted me to be. So what I do on that podcast is I interview people, I talk to people, we have conversations who have walked away in some way, shape, or form, doesn't have to be religious like me, it can be anything, walked away from societal or cultural or family norms, things that were programmed into them, walked away and decided to choose themselves, find themselves, rediscover themselves, reclaim their life for them, and then redefine how it all gets to
mm.
go. And the stories on there are so widespread. It's absolutely beautiful to hear. I think there's something for everyone on it.
Yeah. What's the support been like from, say, like the people who follow your journey, and like some of your friends as well?
Yeah. Yeah. So as far as what have their responses been?
Yeah, how has it been like positive all around in general?
Oh, yeah, no, no, not at all.
Okay.
When I walked away from Christianity, walked away from the church, that was my whole life. Like my entire community was the church.
Right.
And I pretty much lost everyone. People just stopped talking to me. People, like it just, there were a few that would still be polite, but like there was no real relationship
Mm,
there anymore. And then it's only got worse since I moved along because that didn't the whole sexual side of myself and just embracing that and being more open with that didn't start until a couple of years after I deconstructed. What's wild is still a lot of people from my past, conservative Christians still, they still followed me on social media, which I thought was interesting because I'm like, you don't like agree with me anymore. Why are you still following me?
mm.
People, that curiosity, right? And then I started posting more recently about like sexual stuff in the past 6 months for sure. And then OnlyFans, oh my God, I lost hundreds of followers in a day. In a day,
Uh,
one post. And I'm like, if I'm fine with it. And I'll tell you why. Because I would rather people love me for who I am, like not who I'm not, right? Like I would rather actually be hated. What's that quote? I'd rather be hated for who I am and loved for who I'm not. I don't want that. They were never my people, right? We are not here for everyone. None of us are here to influence every person on this earth. We cannot. So, better to be radically authentic and radically show up in who we are so we magnetize the people who really need us, who are for us, and repel the people who are not. That's the best way to do it.
yeah.
Otherwise, you're in this wishy-washy energy of like, oh, well, I kind of want to make sure everybody's happy. No, you don't. That's not your best life. That's not the legacy you want to leave. Oh, she tried to make everybody happy. She did a pretty good job at making everybody happy. No, that's not what I want. I want like this radically audacious life that people were like, they either loved me or they hated me. And that's great because the ones who love me, I actually impacted their life in a powerful way, not any wishy-washy, lukewarm energy.
And magnetism as well. You mentioned that word. How important it is to have that in life.
Mm. Magnetism is so easy when you figure out who you are. Because magnetism isn't something you attain, it's who you already are, which means that all you have to do is start pulling back the layers that are on top of you, the things that aren't really you, and you get to this deeply magnetic self. So I think it's everything. I think it has to do with everything. We wonder like, why can't I attract this like partner that I want? Why can't I attract more money? Why can't I attract this dream job? Well, you can. It's just that you've got other beliefs and conditioning on top of you that are repelling it away from you, right? You can't attract that partner. How do you really feel about yourself? Do you really love yourself? Do you really see yourself as the person that partner would want? Or do you feel inferior to that partner? Because the true you, the true version of you, the deep soul version of you loves the shit out of yourself and knows how valuable you are. And that version of you will attract that partner. You have to pull back the layers and get that
Yeah.
junk off you so you can be that person.
I know there's an old saying where before anyone can love you, you have to love yourself.
You do.
Mm, mm,
Yeah, you really do. A lot of people don't know what that looks like though, because let's get honest, it takes time to really be with you. It's very easy. This is why we don't like a lot of people don't like to be alone in their house. They're just like, oh, I'm bored. They don't want to like sit with themselves. They don't want to sit in silence with themselves, sit with their thoughts. Why? It's uncomfortable. We don't like discomfort. So we will distract, we will watch TV, we will avoid, we will call a friend to go out somewhere. Sitting with yourself, being with yourself, getting used to the discomfort and then being okay because you can hold it. You can hold the discomfort. It doesn't feel great, but you can handle it. And
mm,
as you handle it, it becomes less discomfort and more awareness and curiosity. You can start saying no to the judgment because the discomfort is the judgment. We always want to go there in our brains. And the reality is, when you sit with your thoughts, if you are like, I'm going to play a game, I'm actually going to, whenever the thoughts come up, like, oh, I'm such a loser or whatever, I'm going to actually pretend that thought's not from me because it's not really. And I'm going to get curious about it. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Why? Why do I think I'm a loser?
mm,
That's an interesting. Curiosity trumps judgment every time. And that is literally what will be the foundation of growth and evolving for any human.
mm. And just a couple more things to go. You mentioned, you made a giant step towards, modeling. And did you find that aspect empowering for yourself as well?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's so wildly empowering. Actually, that's the part of it I didn't know would come out of it was feeling so empowered. I did it more of I have so much sexual energy and I need like a creative sexual outlet. I'm not trying to have sex with a bunch of people. So like, what's a creative sexual outlet I could do? And then you can make some money doing it too. I'm like, this is fun. Like, I think I want to do this OnlyFans thing. I didn't realize how empowering it would be because I'm highly relational. So for me, it's not this a transactional experience with everyone. I actually enjoy conversing with people in the DMs, and the amount of responses I get. Obviously, there's a lot of sexual responses, but like there's also a lot of people who will get in there and be like, "Oh my God, I found you. Your story is so inspiring. I can't believe like I used to like struggle with this, or I was in religion." Like they know my story. I'm not just a person on there posting, and it's fine, whatever creator you are. But like for me, I have a story. It's a brand. It's me. If you're with me on OnlyFans, you're going to learn me. You're going to learn my story. You're going to learn what I stand for, what I believe in, like how I show up in the world. If you're not on OnlyFans and you're just with me on social media, you're going to learn my story. You're going to learn how I show up in the world, even the sexual side of things. Like even if you don't come over here, it's cohesive. And that's what I really wanted. When I decided to do OnlyFans, there's a part of you that's like, okay, you could do it anonymously though, because then you know. But the reality is, I'm sick of the bullshit dogma that says women can't be both and. So I'm deciding. Now, it doesn't mean everyone's going to agree, but I don't really care. I've decided I get to be highly sexual and sexually expressing myself and also wildly respected and a leader and a person of intelligence, a thought leader, a person who can coach others, a person who has lots of value to add to other people's lives. That's it. I've decided. So the reality is that it really doesn't matter what other people think because the ones who are going to judge me before OnlyFans or after OnlyFans, they were going to judge me before. They're going to do either, right? The judges are going to judge. That's what they do.
Yeah.
So I'm not
That's
here
what
for them.
that's what I say haters can hate. Well,
Haters going to hate.
I just want to say thank you very much for being very open, on this interview,
Yeah.
I do admire that, on being honesty about your path. Where's best for people just to follow your journey, like say a Facebook page or a website?
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram are really the best ones. It's just my name, Bekah Slider, just as it's spelled. So it's very easy to find me because I don't think there's any other Bekah Sliders spelled that way.
Yeah. And I better ask you about music as well. Are you into music? Do you find that
I,
therapeutic? Like, who are your
I
favorite artists?
Oh, favorite is hard because I have so many favorite genres. Like I love so many genres. So I love listening to jazz music. It depends on the mood I'm in. That's how I
Yeah.
decide what music I want, right? Like jazz. I love hip hop, R&B. I love rap music. I like a little bit of country. I like blues. Like I really like all of it.
Yeah.
Music got me through my childhood. Honestly, I say laughing finding something to laugh about, and then music literally got me through my teenage years, so I
Because I
couldn't live
just
without it.
I just wanted to ask, was there a particular song that you may like for me to play after this interview?
Oh, yeah, probably like a baddie song, like um I'm thinking a Nicki Minaj song.
Okay, all right then. We'll pick out like a Nicki Minaj song. Maybe "Moment for Life" or something.
Probably I Like It Like That by Cardi B, actually.
Okay.
That would be the one.
All right then. We'll see what we can find. Well, thanks very much for joining me on today's show, Bekah Slider. There we have it.